Sorry. All right, go ahead. Yeah, there we go. What's up, man? Welcome back.
Hello, yeah, I spoke to you the other day, but
Mhm.
first I heard you talking to the other guy about every Muslim gonna go to hell and everything like that. But that's
Yeah,
not what we believe. We believe that's the sirat. That's the bridge over hell. That's not hell itself.
I know it's not what you believe. I know that. I know a lot of the things that I read out of the Quran is not what you believe.
And even the word in the Quran, it doesn't
It's
say they're
the
gonna go down into it. It
yes,
says
it does.
wariduha.
It literally says that they're
Wariduha?
going down to it.
No, I'm saying in the Arabic. It says the word wariduha. Wariduha
Yeah, which
means
means to go down to it or to come to it.
yeah, to come to it. That's exactly what wariduha means. It means you're gonna approach it.
So you're
And
going to hell.
even in another portion in the Quran, Allah says when He's talking about the story of Moses, He uses the same word. He says walamma waradama amadya. Like he uses the same word, and he means when he approached the well of Madian. So the word doesn't mean to go down into it, like you're saying. It means approach.
So, for example, in the next verse where it says that he will deliver out of it the God-fearers, but leave the evildoers there to hobble on their knees. Where will he be leaving the evildoers?
He's gonna leave them in hell because they fell in it.
So he's leaving them there, and this same place that he's leaving the evildoers is the same place that he delivered the God-fearers from.
Yeah,
So he's
because the
pulling
God
them
fears will be
out.
walking over it.
So if he's pulling the God-fearers out and leaving the
They're not
evildoers
pulling, not
there,
pulling.
that means that they were all there.
No, it's not pulling. All of them was called like if you're walking on top of a bridge, you're like at the place, you approach the place, and then some of them fall in, they stay in there. The ones that will cross over the bridge, they cross the other side. It's very simple.
No, that's not making sense with what I just said. The verse says that there's not one of you that will go except that you'll go down to it, and that
Approach it.
you'll deliver out of it the God-fearers and leave the evildoers there. Just really quick again, where is he leaving the evildoers?
Yes, well, he's leaving them in hell, but because you're kind of interpreting it wrong. When the verse says,
Interpreting it or just
and
reading for what it says,
no,
bro?
no, your interpretation is wrong because it says all of them will approach it, and the it is hell, and then will be left in it. The it is hell. Both it's are hell, but one of them is
Let's see.
approach it, and one of them is left in it.
Let's see. It doesn't say
So one of
approach
them
it.
are.
Let's see here. Not one of you there is,
But
but he shall
this
go down to it. Hold on. For your
this is a
Lord is
bad
a
translation. You know that.
no, it's not. It's a good translation. Then we shall
It's a good
deliver
translation that
those.
aligns with what you want to say.
Just one second. Can you hear me, or is there a delay on your end?
I can hear.
Okay. It still sounds like there might be a delay. It says, "Then we shall deliver those that were God fearing, and the evildoers we shall leave there, hobbling on their knees." So the God-fearers and the evildoers were in the same place. One is
No, no, no,
being
no.
left,
Well,
the others are being delivered, saved from it.
and the God fears are everybody is approaching it, and the evildoers they fall into it. The it is the same place, but they're not all going into it. And that's why I'm going to read from my translation I have right here. It says, and there's none of you except he will come to it. It doesn't say that he's going to fall into it or
Come
go
to
down
what?
into it like you're saying.
Come to
To
what?
hell. It is hell.
So you go to
Yeah, that's what
hell. You go to
you approach
hell,
hell. You don't
and
go down into hell like you're
it
saying.
says that it literally says that you
Bro, the
shall go
translation is
down
bad. I'm
to it.
telling you that.
You shall go down to it, and this is the part that gets me. The part that gets me, Mo, is the part that says that he's gonna deliver those who are God fearing and
Yes.
leave the evildoers there.
Do you know
You
why?
get what I'm saying?
Do you know
So
why?
wait, so according to this verse, if we're going with your interpretation, uh,
Yeah.
did the evildoers go to hell or did they just approach hell?
The evildoers are gonna fall into hell and be
Where
left
does it
there.
say that? Hold
They
on a
just
second.
says leave there. So if they're
It
just
says,
approaching, that means they're gonna stay approaching. That's it.
yep.
No, that's not what it means. Because one, everybody's
Ah,
approaching it. I'm reading it to you just like you're reading, but you're reading from a different interpretation.
okay, yeah. So
Every
read where it says they shall fall in.
okay, where's go? Then we shall deliver those who are God fearing, meaning they will cross over the bridge. They will not fall
No, it
into it.
doesn't say anything about a
Now
And
you
bridge or
just
say
not.
nothing like. Just read it. Just read it
okay, I'm reading.
and show. And I want to hear where
Matter of
it
fact,
says
let me read from my translation. Let me see what
that
it
the
says right here.
evildoers are gonna fall there.
I'm reading from my translation. It says, "Then we will save those who feared God and leave the wrongdoers within it on their knees."
Well, but it doesn't say within it. It just
No,
says
no,
leave them
in my
there, right?
translation right here. I'm reading from my translation.
Okay, so your translate read the whole verse again.
Okay. Then we will save those who feared Allah and leave the wrongdoers within it on their knees.
Boom. So this means that if the evildoers are being left within it,
Yeah.
the God-fearers were there too, and they're being
No,
delivered.
no. The verse before it says the God-fearers will come to it, and the
In the
evildoers
same,
will be
no,
left
the
within it.
same verse says, the same verse you just read says,
Yes.
then we shall deliver those that were God-fearing and leave the evildoers, according to your translation, leave them in it. So they're being left in it while the
Yes, they're being
God-fearers are being brought out of it.
No, it doesn't. It never says the God-fearers went in there. It says everybody will come to it.
I got
The
you.
evildoers
That's
will be
I
left
can't.
within it.
I got you, man. You got it, bro. I can't do this.
All right.
So, appreciate it. I can't do this. Not about to deal with that type of dishonesty, man.
They just don't like to read.
No, they
Change the verse.
They hate the Quran. Allah should have said something else, man. Allah, you should have said something else.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
So,
Hi. So I have a question for GodLogic, if you don't mind me asking. I just want to say I'm a big fan, so that's just one thing. But I have a question, if you don't mind me asking.
As long as are you a non-Christian?
Yeah, I'm a Muslim.
Okay, what's your question?
Yeah, my question is, do you believe that the Father is God?
What do you think? If you're a big fan of my stuff, what do you think?
It is more of a rhetorical question, but I just
Okay.
have to go along with this just so you can bear with me.
LPT income.
I disagree. Just give me your argument.
Wait, you don't agree that the Father is God?
No, it's
No,
not. What he said, bro.
I don't agree with what you're saying. That you're like we need to go through these like little. We don't got to do that. You know what I
Well,
believe.
faith
So
is a
bring
foundation
your
of building, right? So we have to talk. We have to,
Hassan, brother.
establish if you
If
believe
you want
that.
to, stay on the stage, my friend, please do me this favor.
All right.
Don't play
All right.
games with me.
Okay,
Give
no
me
games, no rhetoricals. Here we go. So my question for you is, if the Father and the Son are God, then whatever is true of God must also be true of both, right?
What
No,
do you mean by
because God's not a univocal term.
Exactly. That's why I asked. What do you mean by God, bro?
Whatever you decide God is, we'll go with your definition.
It's not a
I'm going
univocal
to grant
term.
you that. Sorry, say that again.
It's not a univocal term. The term God doesn't only have one meaning. It can point to multiple things.
Yeah, but whatever is true of God, the being of what God is, must also be true of both
So
persons.
you're asking of the essence?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. If you're asking whatever is true of the essence must be true of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, then yes.
Okay. So if something is true of the Son that is not true of the Father, then that would be a contradiction, correct?
Yeah, only if you're talking about his essence, because we just clarified if you're talking about everything true of the essence must be true of the Father and Son. If
Okay,
you give
so
something
is
as a
the
personal
essence
property, that
triune?
won't count. What?
Is the essence triune?
No, triunity is going to be a description. It's not a property.
Okay. So how is the Son begotten? The Father is not begotten. That's not
Yeah, because
identical. That's a
being
contradiction.
begotten isn't a property of the essence. It's a property of the person. As you just said, we were clarifying that it must be a property of the essence for it to be true of all three.
But that's what I asked you. I said whatever is true of God must be also true of
And
both.
we clarified that's the essence. Being begotten isn't a property of the essence.
Being begotten is not a property of the essence?
No.
Okay. So that's a contradiction. You don't realize that, right?
What's the contradiction?
The contradiction is that for both, like let's say the identity of the Father, the identity of the Son, whatever is true of God, whatever you believe what makes God is, must also be 100% true to each and every person subsisting within the
We
Godhead.
said, though, we're defining God as the essence for this. So that means whatever
That's
is
what I'm
true of the
saying.
essence must be
So-
true of the
So
Father.
whatever is true of the essence must
So
be
don't
true of
give
the
a
Father, Son,
property
and
that's
Holy
not a
Spirit.
property of the essence.
So if the Father, Son, and so if it's true of the essence, and you saying that the essence is triune, then
I didn't say that, dude. I literally said being triune is not a property; it's a description. So give me the property of the essence that one of the persons have that another doesn't.
You're asking me a question now?
It's your argument.
It is my argument, but you're not answering my question. You're just asking me a question.
Dude, because you don't understand what you're asking. We are determining that God is the essence in this. So for your argument to be sound, that means you have to give me a property that's of the essence that one of the persons doesn't have.
Being begotten, for example.
That's not
the
a
Father.
property of the essence.
That's a hypostatic property, bro. That's a
Oh
property
my
of the
God.
person.
Yeah, that's a hypostatic property, but you're not addressing the original question I was asking you.
That was the original. Are you literally not
You're,
tracking
you're
God?
conflating essence and personhood right now.
No,
I
we're
think
not.
he's
You're
trolling. I
conflating
think
it.
he's trolling. He's smiling. I think he's trolling.
He
Bro,
gotta be.
What?
You're trolling.
Yo,
I can hear this.
I'm not trolling, bro.
I
I'm
hope
being
he's trolling.
serious,
'Cause
bro.
this is crazy.
Yeah, I think you're trolling. Thanks.
I
for saying.
genuinely hope so.
Yo, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
You
So
think I'm trolling, bro? In the big
you
2-5?
have to be, because I don't think you're. I don't want to. I don't want to
Okay.
think you're dumb.
I
think you're
asked
good.
him. What I asked him was, whatever is true of God must also be true of both the Father and the Son.
And what did we define God as?
Whatever you want to define.
So
it
we
as.
define it as the essence. So let's replace God with essence. Whatever is true of the essence must be true of the Father and Son, right?
Yeah.
So give me something that's true of the essence.
No.
That's not.
That's what I'm asking you. Is it yes or no? You're not.
Yes, everything true of the essence is true of the Father and Son.
Okay, so if the essence is triune,
It's
then the
not for the
Take care.
fifth time. The essence is a bro. Oh my God.
Take care, bro. Take care.
He's
Take
not
care.
listening.
Take care. I think
Triunity is not a property, bro.
I think he was trolling. He was trolling.
I
think he was.
genuinely hope so.
He had to be trolling.
Lord
he
have
was-
mercy.
Juan, how you doing?
Hi.
What's up, man?
Hi. Good, and you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. What's your religion?
I am an agnostic.
You're an agnostic.
Yes. Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
There you go.
Think Nick knows me, right?
Are you
we talk-
modern? Are you like modern atheist or something?
That's right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I've
that's right.
seen you in my comments.
Yes.
All
Is
right.
my-
So why do you
Go ahead.
believe Christianity is false?
So I wanted to talk like if I gave you very quickly, if I give you the skeptic explanation for the resurrection, maybe you could tell me like what are your objections to it or your main objection, right? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So here is what the skeptic broadly says. They say Jesus was a real person who was indeed crucified and died by crucifixion. And their disciples, after his death, they had some form of hallucinations, which led them to believe that he had risen from the dead. And this was the first part. And after that, what happened was that over many decades, the stories about Jesus got embellished and legends got added to these stories. And at some point, in many decades later, they were put together into the Gospels. And that's why we have like specific stories about Jesus with group appearances and whatever. So that's basically it.
So
That's
I would
the-
ask, what's your justification why they had hallucinations or that they had hallucinations, and also what's your justification they would have had the same hallucination?
Well, you mean the same hallucination, like
Oh,
you
that's the
talking-
second part, but the first part is what's your justification that they even had a hallucination?
right. I would simply say, well, it can happen. It's possible that they had hallucinations. I mean, I don't think I just say it's possible that it happened, right? So it will be my explanation for why they believe that Jesus had risen.
Yeah, but why do you think that is a higher probability that occurred over the resurrection?
Or because I think it's a very mundane thing that could perfectly happen. Do you dispute that? You think that a resurrection in principle is more likely that people hallucinating? Right.
Yeah. Do you think that people just randomly, like multiple people at the same time, randomly hallucinate the same thing?
Yeah, that's the other point. That's the second point, right? The group hallucinations. what I would say to that is I think this is very unlikely. Yeah, no, I don't think this is very likely. I think that these stories are were invented later on. I think that these stories were added in a process of embellishment or legendary addition. These group appearance stories.
Yeah, I mean, the point is though, is that do you think though that they all hallucinated that Christ was resurrected and they saw Christ?
You mean all at the same time? No, I think some of them. I think some of them hallucinated, and some of them they convinced the others. But if you ask me, do you really believe that they all at the same time hallucinated the same Jesus at the same time? I think it's very unlikely. I would say no. I don't like that explanation.
What would they have hallucinated on?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
What would they have hallucinated on? What would have caused the hallucination?
What would have caused the hallucination? Beragement. I know the normal causes of hallucinations. People hallucinate all the many. This is not so rare. This is
It's common today because we have a lot of things that we can use for it. But what is your evidence they had anything to hallucinate on and where they were at the time?
What do you mean to hallucinate on?
Yeah, so like for example, people hallucinate on things like LSD and mushrooms, etc. What is your evidence they had things like that that would cause them to hallucinate?
No, I think there is something called beragement hallucination or grief hallucinations, and it's not just people on drugs who hallucinate. People who are not on drugs also have hallucination. This is also relatively common, I think.
It is not that common to hallucinate that your person that you saw get unalived is walking before you. That's not common.
But it does happen. Like if you look at the literature, I mean, it's not going to happen to everybody. But if you look at the literature, for example, Del Allison, a New Testament scholar, he says it's actually more common than people think for people who had someone pass away and to hallucinate this person. He gives many examples of it. There are many.
Oh, the issue is though, I don't think you could find anything in history where 2 or more people hallucinated the same thing after someone died, that they saw the same thing. Unless you can show me that, I don't. In these specific grief hallucinations, I don't think there's ever a time in history where that's recorded. So you could posit that claim, but it's not going to be likely in the fact that it's never been recorded ever in history.
Okay, I have 2 possible responses to that. One is to say, like, I don't know if you have read the book of Del Allison on the resurrection. There are actually some cases of group hallucinations. It is rare, but there's a family saying that they saw the ghost of a person, and multiple people saw the same. We have the daughter and the mother seeing like the grandmother. Both they say they both together, and so on. We have a few other examples actually. That's one possible solution. And the other second solution, what I think is more likely, what I like the most, I think these stories of all the entire group hallucinated Jesus, they were invented and added to the Gospels later. I don't think they're
You would have to prove that they were added to the Gospels later if you can actually give evidence for that.
Well, I think, no, I don't have to prove it because you're saying it's like the only possible explanation is a resurrection. And I'm saying it's not. There is another possible explanation that they go.
I'm saying you can say that's another possible explanation, but I'm saying, do you actually have any evidence for that claim that these were added later?
I mean, I don't see that. Why do I have to? No, I don't have evidence for that. But why do I have to provide additional evidence for that? If you don't have to provide, do you have to provide extra evidence for the fact that Jesus rose from the dead? You know what I mean?
What do you mean? The evidence is the Gospels themselves. So we're actually providing evidence. But if you're going to then say, okay, but then those same Gospels we're using as evidence, well, they can't be used because they were later added into, then you have to provide that evidence because you're now making another claim.
Well, I don't see why. I mean, I am providing an explanation that explains the same evidence that you have. So you see, we have these stories, and I say the explanation is that they got out later, and you think no, the explanation is that Jesus rose from the dead. But the way I see it, my explanation is more likely. It has a higher prior probability, so it should be prepared.
Like based on what evidence is your explanation that the stories came later? What evidence do you have to base that explanation?
That's great question. This will get us to human arguments against miracle based on my general background knowledge, on my general understanding of how normal things normally are. Wouldn't you say that miracles are generally unlikely based on our background knowledge?
No,
you think they are very likely. So you go out with the street and you think it's very likely that a miracle will happen. You think these are likely.
but what does that have to do with the story being late to the event?
It answers the question of which scenario is more likely, that the story got added later, or that an actual miracle happened?
Yeah, what would be your evidence that it came later? That's my question. That's his question.
I say it's a perfectly plausible thing to postulate, so I don't
Right.
need additional evidence.
You know, you do. You need to demonstrate why it's plausible and why that's actually the case.
Well, I don't see any reason why it will be implausible, really. For example, it's plausible because you know why what it means for something to be plausible. It means that it can happen, right? That's all it means. So what is the
Okay,
evidence?
is it plausible that Christ resurrected from the dead?
I think because God, it doesn't. I would say no, because it doesn't look like God acts in the world. From my background
Okay, so,
knowledge,
wait, so if you're gonna say then that you said something that's plausible means that it's possible to occur. So now you're gonna have to prove that that's what you just said.
Yeah, okay, maybe I make a mistake. Plausible and possible is not exactly the same thing. So maybe I made a mistake when defining plausible. Yeah, maybe I make a mistake. Plausible is like it has a certain high good probability of happening that is not like super low. I don't know. I'm not sure how to define the word, but it's not
You
exactly.
have to prove how you're calculating the probability of these things then.
What are your thoughts on the creed of 1 Corinthians 15 being the scholars, you know, that's within the creed within the first 3 years of the resurrection?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best evidence for the resurrection, because it's early enough. It comes from Paul. It's very early. Scholars date it to within a few years after the resurrection, and it can be seen as kind of mentioning a group appearance, because Paul says it appeared to the 12. So I think it's the good evidence for the resurrection, actually, the creed.
So would that eliminate this idea of it being late, and then also it just being hallucinations, especially with because with the examples that you gave of people believing that they saw a loved one who died? Jesus would not have been a loved one to Paul, but he's claiming that he saw Christ resurrected.
Oh yeah, but it's not. You don't have. There is more than one way to hallucinate, right? I think you can also hallucinate, and there are also people who hallucinate with religious figures. Like there are many Muslims, for example, that hallucinate with Jesus, right? Because it's like
why would Paul, a disbeliever who's against Jesus and who wants to dispel him, hallucinate him about him being alive, seeing him alive, and then that causing him to completely transform his entire life?
Yeah, one possible explanation is guilt. There are strong emotions, such as if Paul was internally feeling guilty over persecuting Christians, maybe these strong emotions would have caused him to hallucinate. So there is one possible explanation, but
there's no evidence of him feeling guilt. As a matter of fact, he was proud to be doing what he did, and he literally he says it. He says that he was proud to be doing what he was doing. Like he felt like he had that zeal for the Lord. He felt like he was doing it for God. So he didn't feel guilty.
Yeah, well, maybe he just didn't tell us that he was feeling guilty, but he just didn't tell us, right? I mean, it's not like implausible that he will feel guilty over unaliving.
Would you agree that all the evidence about Paul points to him? Because we don't have to do the what ifs on this side. You got to do the what ifs and maybe this and maybe that's on your side. But from what we see and what we have, that's clear in our face with the evidence, is that Paul, a disbeliever and an enemy of Christ, who explicitly tells us that he thought that what he was doing was for the Lord and he felt good doing what he was doing for the Lord, but then got knocked off his high horse, which completely transformed him, in him thinking that he saw a resurrected Jesus, which transformed him. Is that more plausible, that he actually saw a resurrected Jesus?
I think the most plausible explanation is that he had an hallucination about something that he was thinking about. He was thinking a lot about Christianity and all. So in his brain somehow made an hallucination over this.
Okay. All right. Well, Nick, do you have anything else to say to Juan?
No, it's just a claim with not really any evidence. So no, not really.
Oh, well, thank you for coming up and sharing, Juan. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, take care, man.
All right, take care.